Hi, I'm Sam. This presentation is credited to Buck, or Space Buck, for reasons that I'll get into. Uh, Valentine's Day is a weird holiday, and I'm feeling pretty weird about this whole presentation right now, actually. So if you could all just... the topic is teledildonics, which is a big word that I have trouble defining. And so if you could just help me out, this is an idea from Kyle Machulis, who's a teledildonicist based in California. If we could all just start the presentation by saying the word together. Thank you. Maybe together as a group, as one, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Teledildonics. Thank you. I feel better. Now we've shared something. And there are a lot of ways to define teledildonics. It's a word coined in the 70s. But in general, what all of the definitions have in common is something about sexual intimacy and remoteness being overcome by technology. And I really like this paradoxical combination of closeness and intimacy being combined with distance, and the way that technology influences or enables this paradox to exist, and also changes the way we think and function. By removing the physical presence of the other person or other people in a sexual situation, it really changes the way one's own mindset responds to different exercises or gestures or stimuli. And that's something I really am fascinated by and like to explore in my projects and my work. But typically when I work on projects like this, when I work on intimate projects, I engage in this intimacy at a distance by releasing the projects anonymously or pseudonymously, using my fursona. This is Buck, or Space Buck, who takes credit for all of my racy projects, sexually oriented projects, or just ones that I felt even remotely uncomfortable associating with my human name. And it really does change the mindset, or it frees me up in a way. It unblocks some of those creative outlets that lets me work on some projects that I might otherwise feel were too weird or too out there. And so by publishing as humanoid deer that can't put on t-shirts, it's really given me this tremendous creative outlet and opened up a whole community of new collaborators that I never would have found otherwise. So that's the preamble to the tech part of the talk, which is modular teledildonics. My goal with the modular aspect is not to design new sex toys, but to take ones that people already have in their bedside tables, ones that they already have and love, and give them new functionality, new purpose, without destroying them. I know that's the really difficult part to grasp, is I don't want to take them apart. I don't want to damage the things, which is maybe counterintuitive in a hack space. But I want to preserve the original function as much as possible. I'm sorry?
Like the warranty seal, can you damage it, or is it like really?
Oh, I don't think any of these are warranted, because I'm talking about very, very cheap vibrators. I don't think there's ever a warranty with
So
these.
it's not because of the warranty that you don't want to take.
No, it's because it's something that you've already grown a bond with, in theory. Or okay, it's something that I've already grown a bond with and don't want to damage. And I imagine I can't be the only one who maybe names their vibrators. I might be, but I doubt it. But I'm focusing on this galaxy of battery-powered sex toys that are all operating on the same basic premise, which is an eccentric rotating mass motor, a single or two AA batteries, and some type of switching mechanism to turn it on and off. That's really all we have to work with. And I think it's feasible to make any one of these into a teledildonic device, or more special than making any one, making all of them into teledildonic devices. But what it means to, I haven't actually explained what it means to make something teledildonic. I hope the video works. By adding some cybernetic control, we can more precisely change the voltage levels rather than just having it on or just having it off. We can precisely control patterns, simulate any levels of intensity between on and off, and translate between them. So this is a demo from just a gentle sine wave pulse, and this was as a joke. I made this as an alarm clock for my partner, and it stays off for 12 hours, and then it goes on for about long enough. It goes on long enough to wake someone up. And the other exciting thing about using new technologies is that we can overclock these. Even though there's just the one battery, the one motor, we can overvolt it and send it to a higher voltage than it was ever intended to, which is speaking of voiding warranties, it's a dangerous behavior, and I'm still looking for beta testers, as it were. Some brave souls to help me out with the technology. So that's roughly what we can do. And I, of course, sorry, the other aspect of it is the wireless communication, the cybernet, the ability to control this remotely via a phone, via an internet protocol from a far distance. That's an important part of the that's the tele aspect of teledildonics. And so the way I intend to do this is by taking this existing battery, shrinking it down to a smaller lithium polymer cell, which has become quite cheap from e-cigarette manufacturing. But this gives us just enough extra space in there to theoretically get a Wi-Fi module, some power circuitry, and an electronic switch that lets us do more sophisticated things. I'm really excited about being able to do this, but here's a GIF showing the PCB, the battery, and putting on a couple end caps just to maintain the form factor, as it were. That's everything pieces together. This whole thing is 14 millimeters in diameter and 50 millimeters long, which means the PCB itself can only be about 48 millimeters long and 9 millimeters high, which is really, really tiny. So routing this was a challenge. I couldn't use any of the existing Wi-Fi module, like the large module boards. So to use an espressif chip, I have to go, back down to the bare IC and do some very sketchy routing to get it all to fit. These are all the slides I have. So after this, I was deciding between going into I didn't know if I should go into a demonstration with KiCad or show some other open source hardware projects that are on a similar topic. Boy, I don't know how technical to get with this.
Do you have something that we can control already?
I do not. I did until presentation day. It worked yesterday. By George. It's one of those things. I had this board creates a web server that you can then connect to from your device. And I'm having trouble choosing an icon for it, a fav icon. I'm serious. If you have suggestions, right now it's the peach emoji, but that could change. But this,
How are you modulating the voltage?
there's a power circuit there that can deliver up to 3.6 volts at 800 milliamps, which theoretically you won't ever need. You won't need more than 200 milliamps for most of these devices. But it's just a web interface. There's a slider under a piece of text that says danger zone. And you can, if you are feeling brave, just type in a number between 1.2 and 3.6, and the voltage changes to that. I have it set to 1.5 by default, and I'm still waiting on the actual PCBs with the 1-2 punch of the Spring Festival and coronavirus. Everything is delayed, and so I don't have anything to show you. Well, that's not true. I have one part of my prototyping process to figure out how tall I could actually get it, to figure out the 9 millimeter number. I 3D printed some negative space. So this is inside of it. This hollow would be the battery compartment of one battery vibrator, and then I printed lots and lots of printed circuit boards to figure out which profiles had just the right shapes that I could cram in without damaging anything too much. And that's why I settled on this magic number of 48 millimeters by 9 millimeters, which we still need to see if that will actually work, but I'm optimistic.
Is it a fiberglass PCB?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why, if you considered using flex?
I have. But the reason for the reason for using this PCB, which is very precisely 0.6 millimeters thick, is that the 5 gold fingers in the middle are a micro USB socket. So this can be plugged directly into a micro USB cable and programmed that way. I've learned my lessons from a previous project, which was called the Small SMOL, which was very hard to program, but that was my first attempt at battery manipulated vibrators. That's the one that's on display in the leopard print vibrator video. I'm running out of steam, so if we have questions, please ask.
But it's all.
We have
If you don't want to cut it open, then you're now restricted to vibrators with changeable battery.
Yes. Yes.
Quite a lot of built-in.
There are quite a few. I am focusing on the ones with a AA battery or 2 AA batteries. And of course, there are lots of non-sexual products that use AA batteries, allegedly, I've been told.
with one battery you can have
Interested to see what you
Yeah.
can do with something. I would be really interested in what happens if you use this kind of battery in something which is something else.
Yeah. I've gotten a lot of help from a Hackaday user named Spats, who sent me, when I posted this project online as Spacebuck, I got a very lovely, very long comment explaining, this won't work, this won't work, this won't work, this won't work. Here's how I would fix it. And so now I have a collaborator in Hamburg who I've never met, and I am very fond of his work. He's credited on the back of the PCB now, and he's designing a 0.8 millimeter version that uses USB-C. So we'll see how that goes.
In relationship then to the intimacy part of it.
Yes.
What is your concept as far as how people can, the tele aspect, how are people
interacting with
Mhm.
each other remotely? Are you is the idea that there is some sort of virtual interface between the two people?
Hmm. I'm working on a simple interface right now, but the nice thing about this is it should be fairly easy to program and upload new web pages to it or interact with existing servers. So,
But you could use something like, say, both people have an iPhone,
Mhm.
FaceTime, and the app, and they can mutually interact with each other.
yes,
by,
from anywhere you can
affecting the other person's pleasure.
absolutely. Yep, that's the hope. And
the tell of the dynamic.
yes, yeah. The wireless module in here is a Espressif ESP32 chip that can do a lot of very cool things.
Actually, you could think about getting like some kind of physical object to control it.
Yes, there are lots of ways.
An app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would add to the intimacy aspect of it.
Which would remove the app and all this digital part.
Well, it could work in tandem with that.
Mhm.
as well.
So there is a conference, I don't know if you're aware of it, it's called Ars Electronica.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I know,
I would love to go to there. If-
So yeah, I was lucky enough to speak at the second Ars Electronica.
Oh yeah.
Which had the theme of Do Androids Sleep with Electric Sheep?
Oh.
We should talk after the presentations for sure.
With the organizers.
Oh God.
That would be terrific.
I know that.
I'll give you my dear's business card. He doesn't have a business card.
Yeah, the organizer is a really good guy, and
Yeah, we should
present.
we should definitely talk.
Teledynamics there. That's the right place.
I'm really hoping to have a finished product soon, or not finished, but a PCB that I can work with soon. Thank you. Oh, so
Consider to integrate like sensors, like capacitive sensors, which are distance sensors without touching, so you can actually measure there's some human presence around the thing and then could start or whatever. Okay.
Like some sort of feedback.
I have a different vibrator project that you may be interested in, but nothing involved in this. My focus here was really just on preserving the original form and function of the device, and
Have this in your module.
but the module is inside of a couple layers that makes it hard to touch, which is also something I'm concerned about with the 2.4 gigahertz wavelength, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I'm way over time, so.
So you actually don't need to touch. That's the thing. You can measure the capacitance without touching with 10 centimeters of distance.
Mm-hmm.
You can measure this.
Maybe this is something we can talk. But yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.